Hi, everybody. So this is really exciting. I'm here to do my monthly video that I do every month where I talk about the movies that I saw the previous month. This one I haven't seen quite as many as some months because of D23, and that kind of, and I also went to the Capitol Reef National Park with my family. So I kind of had two vacation periods where I didn't see a whole lot during those times. So it's a little bit less, but there's still a lot of films to talk about and have a lot of fun. So I have the chat room open, and if you want to ask any questions or you want to talk about your experiences with these films, please do in the chat room, and I will do my best to keep track of it. So, excuse me. Okay, so let's get started talking about the movies. Let me pull up my thing here. Okay, so one of the first movies that I saw in the month of July is SpiderMan Homecoming. Excuse me. SpiderMan Homecoming. And so obviously this was very anticipated, very excited. And I was trying my best to not buy into the hyperbole. And I'm really glad I didn't, because this was touted as the greatest Spider-Man movie ever, and just unbelievable film, very high Rotten Tomatoes score. And I think if I had done that, I think I might have been more disappointed, but I didn't. I just went in and I thought it was a solid, entertaining, enjoyable superhero movie. I liked it. I thought that Tom Holland was really good. I thought that the whole cast pretty much was charming and funny. I thought the script was good. And I really liked the way they used Tony Stark in it. I thought that it was back to sort of the Tony that I knew and loved from the early Iron Man movies, Iron Man 1 and 2, and then the first Avengers. He was sort of sarcastic and funny, and I think that we haven't seen that in a long time. And I don't know if it really makes sense given his behavior in Civil War and where Civil War ended. It doesn't, I think, really make sense, especially since we got that little bit that it was like literally coming home from Civil War. Because at the end of Civil War, he's like helping Rhodey like heal, and he's like very upset. And so I don't know if it really makes sense, but I really don't care. Like, for the purpose of that movie, it was really fun to see the old Tony back, I thought. I thought that some of the action could have been a little bit better, especially that plane scene at the end was a little bit dark. It was a little hard to see what was going on, and it just didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie to me sometimes. There wasn't enough scenes of him like flying through the air, like I like to see. But I thought the script was solid. I thought it was funny, and I thought that Michael Keaton was good. I think that the hyperbole on him has been a little bit strong. People saying that he's the best MCU villain ever, and that to me, he was just sort of a blue-collar version of the villain with the suit. That Marvel always has these villains where it's the businessman that's been done wrong, so they're angry, and they seek vengeance upon the Avengers of some kind. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. And that's basically what we got with Michael Keaton with the Vulture. It was good. I just don't think it was great, like people are saying. So I don't know, but it was solid. It was fine, so we got some comments. Says, do you feel, from Rewind Replay, do you feel Marvel are no longer lifting the bar so much as meeting the bare requirements of an entertaining film? Well, I don't know. Like, it depends on what you're talking about, because like there's certainly challenging things when it comes to like visual effects. In Doctor Strange was something new and different, and now we got Infinity War coming up, which is going to be just something that's never been done on that kind of scale. So they're still challenging themselves in a lot of ways. But as far as narrative, I think that, because I wasn't a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I think that wasn't a case of Marvel. That was just a case of the director making choices that I didn't personally care for and that I thought hurt the film. But I don't know if I can say that they are meeting the bare requirements of an entertaining film. Sometimes, yeah, but I don't know. They're not the most ambitious, creatively ambitious studio out there. That's for sure. They're not like out there making super auteur choices. But who knows? Maybe Ryan Coogler will in Black Panther. Maybe Taika Waititi will in Thor Ragnarok. They have really artistic, interesting directors attached to these things. It's not like they're the Transformers movies or something like that that's just sort of pumping them out without any kind of artistic thought, kind of. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd go that far as bare requirements, but they definitely have a formula. They know it works, and they have bounds. This is that they will stay in, and for the most part, those are pretty entertaining bounds, I think. So it's interesting. Let's see here. Reese says Cars 3 was a July release in the UK, so I saw that and liked it a lot. Yeah, I enjoyed that very much too. Saw it twice. I did see it. I think did I see it once in July. I can't remember, but anyway, I liked Cars 3 the more that I saw it and the more that I thought about it. I really liked it. So the bar set pretty high for, and I'm just having this debate within myself about whether I like Captain Underpants better or whether I like Cars 3 better, because I really like both of them a lot. Let's see. Rewind, replay. Ambitious is the word I should have used. Great response. Oh, thanks. Yeah, they're not the most ambitious studio in the world, but yeah, it's an interesting thing to see. So, okay, so SpiderMan Homecoming. Yeah, I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to like love everything, but you can just like something. That's cool. Okay, so I finally saw a release this year called The Zookeeper's Wife. And this was on actually my most anticipated of the year because the director had done The Queen of Katwe, which I loved, Nikki Caro. And so I was excited. Jessica Chastain is in it, but I didn't really care for it, to be honest. I almost just stopped because I was really bored. And I just felt like it was just not a compelling narrative about like the real person in real life. It's probably super compelling and super interesting, but I don't know, like it felt very soapy. It felt very the dialogue was poorly written. I didn't think it was a good movie. I really didn't. I thought Daniel Bruhl was very bad as just sort of this one note Nazi guy, and yeah, didn't care for it. Let's see. Movies, reviews, and rankings by Reese says, "Hi Rachel, my favorite movie of July is War for the Planet of the Apes and SpiderMan Homecoming." Good choices. I can totally see why. So yeah, if you're in the chat room, just put your choices for favorites, least favorites, whatever it might be. Okay, so Zookeeper's Wife, I think it was a pretty big disappointment. Wasn't a good film. Although Jessica Chastain is solid as usual, as you expect. Okay, next is I saw Wonder Woman again, so fourth time, and that was awesome. I saw it with my niece this time and my mom, and they both really liked it, and so that was really special to share that with them. And I just love it. I love it more. The more I think about it, the more I see it, and it still makes me cry every time. So I just think it's a really special movie, and it really impacted me. And some people can point out the flaws, but the flaws don't matter in a movie when you have that emotional connection to a film. Then you're able to overlook or you don't care about those flaws as much. It's not like I'm not some kind of denialist who says, "Oh, well, the flaws weren't there." No, they're there. I get it, but it didn't matter to me because I loved her character and her character's journey so much. So I love it, and I hope I maybe get to see it one or two more times, maybe even. My record for the most I've ever seen a movie is I saw Jurassic Park 6 times. I saw Force Awakens 5. So they almost broke the record, but anyway. So Reese says, I haven't seen many actual July releases, but I've been watching a lot of films for my Disney series. I watched a few, but my favorite so far is Emperor's New Groove. My least is Meet the Robinsons. Very interesting. I actually like Meet the Robinsons. It's got flaws, but it has such a big heart, and it's such an improvement over Chicken Little that I don't know. I kind of like it, but it's definitely cluttered and definitely not perfect. But anyway, I'm glad you're enjoying watching all these Disney movies, and you should check out. I'll put a link down. You check out Reese's channel because he is reviewing the Disney canon, which I love to see. So let's see, Rewind Play says, with all the talk of Wonder Woman getting an Oscars push for the best film, do you feel it is in with a chance, and B, what is the biggest contender in your opinion for Oscars? So, okay, so I don't think that Wonder Woman has a chance to get nominated for Best Picture, but I like the fact that a movie like that is getting a campaign, that the studio is trying. I think that is cool, an aggressive campaign, because it's not unheard of for movies like that to get a campaign, but an aggressive campaign I think is really cool, and I wish that the studios did that for more blockbuster kind of movies, and it wasn't just the end of the year Oscar. People say Oscar bait. I hate that term, but that kind of movie. I think it would be great if we saw more just movies that people have seen get that kind of Oscar campaign that's aggressive. So that would be cool. And so what do I think is the biggest contender in your opinion? Ooh, I should be more aware of kind of what's coming out for Oscar season. One thing that I think is practically a lock is, and we were debating about this yesterday on Twitter, but Judi Dench is in a movie called Victoria and Abdul, and I think that it's practically, I would bet a lot of money that she's going to get nominated for that movie. She's been nominated 7 times. People love nominating the dames when they're in a movie or TV show. And, it's kind of like Maggie Smith get nominated every season for Downton Abbey, no matter what. She won most of the time. Judi Dench got nominated and won for in Shakespeare in Love. She literally has like 4 or 5 lines. And so people love Judi Dench. The Oscars love Judi Dench. And this looks very similar to Her Majesty Mrs. Brown, which I love. And I'm really excited for it. It just screams Oscars to me. I think I would be shocked if she doesn't get nominated for it. I would put money on it if it was me. But there were a lot of people on Twitter who disagreed, but I stand by it. I think the Judi Dench will get nominated for Victoria and Abdul. And as far as movies, I think The Greatest Showman has a very high chance of getting nominated. It looks great. It's this, we just had La La Land. It was a musical. It has a good cast. That's the one that I've seen publicity for that I think right now I could really see it getting nominated. I also think that Detroit has a good chance because of if there's a campaign, because of the great reviews and the very relevant issues that are being discussed. So I could see Detroit in there. So let's see here. So that's hopefully an answer to some of your questions there. Rewind, replay. SpiderMan, Cameron Carbos, SpiderMan Homecoming, A-. Nice. I think I gave it a B or B+. So not that far off, not that far off. Dunkirk, also A-. Nice. That's what I gave it. I also gave it A-. So there you go. Okay, let's keep going. Rewind play. My girlfriend is obsessed with The Greatest Showman's trailer. It looks so great. Who doesn't love Hugh Jackman? I love Hugh Jackman, and I love that trailer. So I'm with your girlfriend. Totally. I'm really excited for it. Okay. So The Mummy I saw finally. I finally saw The Mummy, and it's a very generic, very bland movie. But I didn't think it was awful, like some people have said. I think that the set pieces are really fun. It's kind of disappointing because it doesn't feel like a Mummy movie at all. And it's just really bland, really forgettable. So I definitely couldn't give it a good grade, but I guess I didn't think that it was horrible, like some people seem to say. So yeah, I give like a C-. My Sir Classic C- grade. The girl is terrible in it. Tom Cruise is fine. He's fine. The comic relief is awful. I thought it was really bad. And yeah, the girl is, and Russell Crowe, it just isn't great in it either. I didn't really like his character, and he's very everything with his character is so obviously to set up the Dark Universe and not part of the actual story that it was very distracting. So I can understand why it got bad reviews, but to me it was just bland and not like terrible. Let's see, movies, reviews, and rankings says, do you think Marvel is not doing that well? I'm assuming you mean content-wise, not box office-wise, because clearly they're doing very well at the box office. I think that I finally did have my Marvel bubble burst a little bit with Guardians Volume 2, because I was pretty disappointed with that movie. But I'm not going to let one movie that I felt disappointed with sour me completely on the studio. You know, every studio has highs and lows, but they do what they do, and some people, they have their formula, and you know, that's just it. So I think it's not that they're either not doing well or doing well. It's just they do what they do, and you either like it or you don't like it. And so there you go. All right. So the next movie I'm going to talk about real quick is a documentary called Jeremiah Tower, The Last Magnificent. This is about a chef and restaurant man named Jeremiah Tower. He worked at Tavern on the Green and a bunch of other things in the 80s. And it has a bunch of big names. You see Martha Stewart on there. You see Anthony Bourdain on there. Things like that. Mari Batali. And it's not. I was hoping, because last year was such an amazing year for documentaries, and this was just a pretty standard biography kind of documentary. But if you're interested in cooking and the whole like chef world, then you might like it. So there you go. The question: are you excited for Thor Ragnarok? Yes. Very excited for Thor Ragnarok because I love Thor. I will defend those two Thor movies. I enjoy them. I think that they're fun. And because I love Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I have a huge crush on Chris Hemsworth. I think he's so great, so charming, so wonderful. And I love the director, Taika Waititi. So all those things, all those reasons, I really liked the trailer. I like everything I've heard about it. So I am excited. I think it's going to be hilarious, and so let's hope that it's a good film. So put in the comments or in the chat room what your thoughts are for Thor Ragnarok. Okay, moving on. The next movie is called The Big Sick. This movie I thought was so funny and so heartfelt, and yes, there's been a lot of hype around it, but I thought it was deserved. It stars Kumail Nanjiani, I think is his name, and it's about his life and how he met his wife, and she ended up getting very sick, as the name would imply. And I thought that Ray Romano and Holly Hunter as her parents is a Oscar-worthy performance. Like, honestly, a supporting actor and actress, they were so good, so funny, so authentic, so real. The whole movie felt very authentic, very real. It is an R-rated movie. It does have a fair amount of profanity, but that's really the only reason that it's rated R, is because of language. But it had a great heart to it, and I look forward to seeing it again and getting it on DVD and Blu-ray, because it was a very special, authentic, heartwarming movie that I really recommend. Reese says, I really should start watching superhero movies, shouldn't I? I'm not standing strong, because the only one I've seen is 2005 Fantastic Four, although I did see Deadpool, which I enjoyed. There you go. Yeah, why not? You know, it's just part of the cultural lexicon. Superhero movies are, they're just a thing that's huge, and people are talking about them. You want to be a part of that conversation, so why not? Why not? And let's see, box office predictions for Last Jedi and Black Panther. You know, I think Black Panther is a harder one to predict. I don't know what it's up against. I'm not that savvy in it, but I think that one will depend a lot on early buzz. And but I can't imagine it not doing like Ant-Man kind of numbers and being a solid hit. You know, it's a fairly new property, but I know a lot of people are really excited for it, kind of like they were excited for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman meant a lot to a lot of women because it was their first time being represented in a superhero movie. And I think that there's a little bit of that feeling with Black Panther, that it means something to a lot of people to be represented in. And that's not an excuse for it to be a bad movie, but it just does. I think it means a lot to people. So it could have a bump, I think, that could be good. So I don't know, but with Last Jedi, I have a hard time imagining it not making over $1 billion worldwide. I mean, if something is sort of out of the box as Rogue One can do it, I can't imagine The Last Jedi wouldn't do it. And so, let's see, Black Panther is looking to face Tomb Raider and Pacific Rim 2. That's interesting. It's going to be an interesting weekend. I don't know. What do you guys think? Put in the chat room or comments. But I can't imagine it making like less than 800 mil. That would be my guess. Somewhere in that worldwide, somewhere in that ballpark would be Black Panther. Okay, let's keep going. So yeah, The Big Sick, definitely check it out. It's really good. And Mason Cook says, would it bother you if The Last Jedi was similar to Empire Strikes Back, the same way The Force Awakens was similar to A New Hope? Well, I really wasn't bothered by that in the case of The Force Awakens. I would like them. We know it is going to be darker, obviously, because we've had the death of Han Solo. And so how can it not be darker in the next one? But I don't know. It's all how you sort of use that tone and use that darkness. If it was to be really, really overt, like if there was going to be like a cute little thing that trains Rey or something like that, or I don't know, if it was really, really, really obvious, then I guess it would. But if it's just like a darker movie, that's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm expecting. And so no, I guess no. That doesn't really bother me. It's just all about how it's executed for me. So there you go. All right. So the next movie I want to talk about is, yeah, wait, Han Solo died? Spoiler alerts. Okay. The next movie is War for the Planet of the Apes. I actually went to a Planet of the Apes marathon, and so I saw all 3 in a row. I love Rise. I love Dawn. One of my favorite movies. 5-10 years. I love it. And so War for the Planet of the Apes, I thought it was a bold, ambitious, beautiful sort of Exodus-like story, and it was a really great way for Caesar to kind of go out. I love the arc of his character. I love how he came to kind of understand Kobo in a new way, and there was sort of redemption for Kobo that I wasn't expecting, and I thought that was really great. I think that it is pretty unrelentingly joyless, and so I walked out of there being like, I was glad I saw that. To me, it had enough that was sort of moving, and it was a moving way to end the character. But I walked away being like, I can totally understand why some people will hate this, and I can totally understand why some people will be disappointed by it, because it's just so it's a pretty brutal movie and a brutal experience to watch. So I guess, I don't know. It's just a really unique. I can't imagine wanting to watch it again, to be honest. And I don't know if that's a knock against the movie or not, because it was just such a brutal experience for my heroes. But I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm struggling as far as my ranking of it to decide, because I did feel like it was just such a bold, artistic, beautiful, moving movie, and a great way to end the trilogy. But on the other hand, it was a very difficult experience in a way to watch it, if that makes sense. Kind of like when you watch a movie like 12 Years a Slave or something like that, and you have this like you recognize that it's a beautiful, epic, amazing movie, but it's like so draining for you when you watch it that you don't really want to watch it again. So that's kind of how I feel about War of the Planet of the Apes personally. Amazing Quick says, I personally was disappointed in War, but I think that was because the other 2 were so great, and this one was just good to me. It's the 7 out of 10. I totally get it. I totally think that's fair. Okay, next movie that I saw is Valerian and the City of 1,000 Suns, or whatever it is. I don't know what it's called. But anyway, Valerian, and I thought this was a super fun time. I really enjoyed it. I thought that they kept the pacing so fast and the world building was so great that I was just dazzled. And so a lot of the stuff that other people complain about, it really didn't bother me. Like I thought that the acting was fine. I thought the script was fine. I thought that Dane DeHaan was fine. It's not that it was great, but I just thought it was serviceable and fine, and everything else was so dazzling that I just really had a great time watching it. I really looking forward to watching it again, and this one definitely I'd want to own and just have in my library, because I just thought it was a fast-paced, fun sci-fi adventure. Let's see, movies, reviews, rankings. Barry says, "Are you excited for Scorpion in Spider-Man Homecoming?" I don't know. The character sounds really. Well, I guess we got that in the after things. I didn't realize that was who that was until my podcast with Trevor of How to Love Comics. And if you guys have not listened to that podcast, you totally should, because he's really well informed about comic books and these characters. And we had a great discussion about Spider-Man Homecoming. So you should check that out. It was not enough people have watched that. And he's really good. And so please do. But anyway, as far as Scorpion, it's all about execution. I'm not that big of a villain person. I'm more of a hero person. So I'm sure it'll be fine. So okay. So yeah, War for the Planet of the Apes. I knew it would be super divisive, and so I get that it was a very, very bold film for them to release and spend so much money on. And then Valerian, another one they spent way too much money on, but I just thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. So what can I say? The next movie is Dunkirk. Dunkirk to me reminded me of going to a Civil War reenactment. This happens all the time where I am from in Maryland, and they don't have characters. It's just about reenacting the battles, and it's immersive, and you feel like you're there and whatever, and on these battlefields. And this is kind of what Dunkirk felt like to me. It wasn't about the story. It was about a reenactment of this battle and really feeling like you were on the ground with these people. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it in 70mm. I wish I could, but I just saw it in IMAX, and it was just such an immersive experience. And so the lack of character development that someone complained about didn't bother me, because I don't think that's what the movie was. It was an experience to feel how it feels to be in battle. And if you think about it, if you're in battle, it's not like you know the person that's fighting next to you probably at all or really well. And so it kind of makes sense. And I think I would still prefer Hacksaw Ridge, because Hacksaw Ridge was such a moving narrative to me of what Desmond Doss goes through, and how his faith helps him have this miracle in his life. But I still think that Dunkirk was so real, it was so immersive, that I really was impressed by it. I thought it was solid. I enjoyed it. So there you go, Dunkirk. The next movie that I saw is an anime film called A Silent Voice. I have this review on my blog. This was a tremendous film. It's basically, it's this really subversive, interesting take on the bully narrative. You have this character, this lead character, who is bullying this deaf girl, and is this other lead character. And it's very uncomfortable, very hard to watch. He ends up getting expelled from school. And like years later, when he's in high school, he decides he's like super lonely. He's super, he has all this social anxiety. He tries to kind of make up for his bad actions. And so, and this deaf girl is super lonely and super scared and confused. And they both have just this loneliness and this anxiety. And it's about how they interact and connect. And it is so moving, and it is so beautiful, and the animation is gorgeous. And it's not quite, for me, as I didn't connect with it as emotionally as Your Name, but it's great. It definitely is in my top 10 of the year, and it's I don't know if it's one that will really win over people that don't like anime because of just certain things. about the style of speaking and some of the other stuff. But I just thought the way it used music was really good, and the way it used nature to sort of symbolize different things. And I'm hopefully, my friend Christine, I think we're going to do some kind of a podcast analysis of A Silent Voice. It's great. Put it on your radar and try to find it, hunt it down if you can. Remarking places. I loved that Nolan made a film that feels as though he could have pointed the camera at anyone on that beach. It's so capture an immersive and compelling tale. Agreed. That's what's special about it, is that like real life, I'm on the ground experience. So there you go. All right. The next movie that I'm going to talk about is A Ghost Story. Now, this is directed by David Lowery, who directed Pete's Dragon, that I loved. And this movie is definitely not for everyone. This is a very weird movie. It's very Sundancey. It's very artsy. And it's basically about this man who, played by Casey Affleck, who dies and comes back as this ghost with like the old school, like the grade school ghost costume with just slits in the eyes. And he's just like watching things happen. And you go back his whole life, and it goes back in time and it goes forward in time. And anyway, there's like, just to give you a feel for this movie, there's probably at least a 5-minute scene, if not longer, maybe 10 minutes. It's really long, where Rooney Mara, his wife, is just eating a pie, and he's just standing over her, watching her eat this pie. And so, you know, a lot of people have been very moved, including a number of my friends that really had this sort of transcendent experience watching it, and it meant a lot, and I get why it meant a lot to them. I enjoyed it as an art piece, as sort of, I like Terrence Malick movies. I like movies that are that you have to kind of think about and ponder about, what is the director trying to say, what's going on here. And it's trying to say a lot about sort of what you leave behind, and what your legacy is, and other things like that. And I think particularly for people that aren't inherently spiritual, I think this movie means a lot to them, because it's definitely, well, somebody like me who has a strong faith, I don't worry as much about what I'm going to leave behind, and what my sort of legacy will be, or how I'll be remembered, because I know that there's an afterlife, and I know that things will continue on, and other things like that. And so, I don't know, I've just noticed, I feel like there's a spirituality to it, to the non-spiritual, in a particular way. Anyway, this seems to speak to people a lot. And that's cool. And it's definitely a bold movie. It's definitely a beautifully shot movie. I love the way the screen is like the aspect ratio is like a square. And so it looks kind of like a home movie. And I thought that was really cool. And so it's just not going to be for everyone. It's very artistic, very out there. But I appreciated it, and I'm glad that I saw it. So there you go. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Reese says, what movie are you talking about right now? I missed the name of it. A Ghost Story. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, continuing on. Then I saw the Emoji Movie. You've just barely seen my review of that. And I must say, like, I don't think it was like a complete trash fire. Like people are saying, but it's a bad movie. No getting around it. I think that I gave it a D-. I stand by that. It's just very derivative. It's very predictable, and I do think it's somewhat cynical. And the way it uses the product placement, isn't done in a way that feels funny or authentic or really works within the story at all. And so, yeah, it's just a movie. I don't think it's the worst movie ever made, like some people are making it out to be, but it's a bad movie, so it's hard to really defend it that much. So what are you gonna do? So yeah. Let's see. The Emoji Movie is rated worse than Norm of the North. I'll just say that. Yeah, it's definitely not worse than Norm of the North, in my opinion. Norm of the North had like stuff that I thought was kind of Norm of the North had nothing that, at least I liked the animation a little bit, and some of the vocal performances in Emoji Movie, but it's a bad movie, so I can't really defend it very much. But anyway. Okay, so then the last movie that I saw is called Maude, and this movie stars Sally Hawkins, and you might remember her from she's the mom in Paddington. She's a delight, and she plays this real life artist who had this arthritis that made her not be able to walk very well and not be able to but she's this painter, and so it's about her life, and she has a very unusual relationship with her husband, played by Ethan Hawke. And he was sort of the miss for me in this movie because I just felt like he was very Jekyll and Hyde. Like, one minute he would be super sweet, and the next minute he would just be horrible, like awful, and I felt like, and it's not that people can't be bipolar, but I felt like the movie was wanting you to root for this person, and it was just like every scene he was a different person, and so that was a problem for me. And the pacing is very languid, so it's definitely not going to be for everyone. But Sally Hawkins is so lovely in the role, and it is it's good enough. I enjoyed it, but it's not like a great movie, but I did think it has a pretty great performance from Sally Hawkins. So there you go. All right, so that's everything that I saw in the month of July. I'll go over them real quick again. I had SpiderMan Homecoming, Zookeeper's Wife, Wonder Woman, The Mummy, Jeremiah Tower, The Last Magnificent, The Big Sick, War for the Planet of the Apes Marathon, Valerian, Dunkirk, Silent Voice, A Ghost Story, Maude, and Emoji Movie. And I also saw Kiki's Delivery Service. And so if you haven't listened to the podcast I did with my friend Mike at Cartoon Karma, you should, on Kiki's Delivery Service. That movie is a delight. It was so fun to see on the big screen. So that was really good. So see, no keep before. Did you already talk about Dunkirk? I just arrived. Sorry. Yeah. So basically, I thought that Dunkirk was a really compelling reenactment of a battle, and it was sort of an interesting experiment to do as a movie, and so I enjoyed it, but it's not a narrative, but I didn't need it to be. It was just an experience of a battle, so I thought it was really good. So that's basically everything that I had. If there's any last minute questions, you can put them in here. But yeah, the best movie that I saw in July is The Big Sick. It was the best movie I saw just since Wonder Woman. Is the fourth time I saw it. It would either be, but yeah, it was The Big Sick. Was just so great. And then the worst movie that I saw in July is the Emoji Movie. The most disappointing movie was The Zookeeper's Wife. That was very disappointing. And the biggest surprise for me, I guess, I don't know, Valerian, that I liked it as much as I did. I'll say that's the biggest surprise. So there you go. And so thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on any of these movies in the comments section and what things you've been watching this month. So thanks again, and I will talk to you all later.